Hey, y'all. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of UNFeigned, the podcast. I'm Jay, and I'm your host, and you're listening to episode 3 in our Emotionally Whole series. I'm calling this one Feelings Aren't Facts, but They're Messengers. And what we're going to dive in today on this episode is going to be validating your emotions while anchoring them to truth. So let's dive in. I want to talk about something on this episode that a lot of us get stuck on. We either believe every feeling we have is truth, or we shame ourselves for even having feelings in the first place. Here's what I want you to hold on to. Feelings are not facts, but they're messengers. Let me say that again. Feelings aren't facts, they're messengers. They're signals that something is happening in you. Something is being stirred, something's calling for your attention. Whatever it is, the problem comes when we either worship our feelings, letting them, rule our choices, or we completely silence them, ignoring our hearts altogether. So let's talk about how to live in the tension of validating your feelings while still anchoring yourself to truth. So why do we confuse our feelings with facts? I'm going to try to break it down here. So feelings are powerful. They show up in your body, they shift your breathing, they even change your thoughts. And because they're so loud, it's easy to assume they're always telling the truth. But feelings are just data, right? They're just information. They're just data. They're not your destiny, right? They're real, but they're not always right. That's important to remember. Let me repeat that. Your feelings are real, but they're not always right. You see, you might feel worthless, but that's not a fact. You might feel unloved, but that doesn't mean you are. You might feel alone, but God has not abandoned you. In the Bible, in 2 Corinthians 10, verse 5, it says, "We take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ." That goes for feelings too. You see, we can acknowledge them without handing them the keys to the car, so to speak. So how do emotions send a message? I mentioned that they're messengers. They're not facts, they're messengers. So how do they send a message? Every emotion has a message underneath it. Anger might say a boundary was crossed. Fear might say something feels unsafe. Sadness might say I lost something valuable. Jealousy might say I'm comparing my worth. But here's the thing. Feelings don't always deliver the right message. They're like a toddler shouting from the back seat. They're loud, but you don't want them driving. Our job is to pause long enough to listen to the message without letting it lead your life. Let me say that again. We want to pause long enough to listen to the message, but not let it lead our life. And that's a great segue into the pause method, right? The pause tool, the pause format. So how do we use this pause method with our emotions? So when we think of pause, this is what we've been in this series, this is what we've been kind of integrating into everything as a way to regulate our emotions, right? And this pause method is the tool, right? It's the heart of what I want you to practice. And so we're gonna go through it. And how does this apply to our emotions? So the first letter in pause, P, it stands for pause. So when a big emotion rises up, don't rush to label it as truth. Let me say that again. When a big emotion starts to rise up and you can feel it, don't immediately rush to label it as truth. Pause. You can even say this to yourself: God, help me slow down so I can hear. The A stands for assess. So in these situations, you're going to ask yourself, what is this emotion trying to tell me? And where do I feel it in my body? And then the next letter is U, and that stands for uncover. And here's the key. The U is the key, right? And you're going to ask yourself, what old story is this poking at? What old story is this revealing? Is this about today, or is it about something that's been buried? And then the S stands for shift, and you're going to shift from this is happening to me to this is happening for my growth. Let me say that again. The shift you're going to make is from this is happening to me to this is happening for my growth. You're also going to shift from a feeling to a truth. So the feeling, for example, if the feeling is I feel worthless, what you're going to give your attention to, what you're going to tell yourself is I am loved and chosen. You might feel alone, but what you're going to tell yourself is God is with me. And the E stands for engage. So you're going to show up in the situation with truth leading, not just your feelings. You're going to engage from a grounded place and not a reactive place. So what are some practical tools that you can use in situations like this? Right? So here are some things to put in your emotional toolbox this week. It's funny because this is a great picture. This is a great what's the word I'm looking for? This is a great word picture, maybe. It's a great illustration. There it is. Because I use this illustration a lot in some other things, especially in training athletes like I do. Because we each have things in our toolbox and we go to that toolbox and we take out the tools we need for certain situations. And it's important that we learn new skills, that we grow, that we mature, and we can add things to our toolbox that will help us in certain situations. So the toolbox illustration, I really like it. I know it's a bit cliche, but I like it. So what are some practical tools? What are some things you can put into your emotional toolbox this week? Right? Before I get into these things, I want to give you a bit of a backstory. For most of my life, it has been very difficult. Excuse me. It has been very difficult for me to, quote unquote, get in my feelings. Right? What's the thing now is, you're all in your feels. For most of my life, it has been very difficult for me to get in there. For most of my life, I've also chosen to behave a certain way regarding feelings in general. And it has not always been a thing for me to get into my feelings, to discuss my feelings, to consider my feelings, or feelings in general. And what I'm about to tell you involves something, and this is just a backstory, remember, but involves something that only in my healing would I be able to embrace. Because just years ago, when I was in the middle of my brokenness, and I was deeply rooted in my brokenness, what I'm about to share with you isn't something that I was ready for, that I was willing to do even. And now as I'm walking in my healing and in my healed version and I'm new, and I have this new life that I'm walking in and journeying on, that what I'm about to share with you is something I embrace. And it's important. It's important for not only your growth and maturity, but it's important for your healing. And so here's some things. Let's get into it. Here's some things you can put into your toolbox. Number one, a feelings inventory. That might sound corny or goofy or whatever. But a feelings inventory. So you're going to write down 5 to 10 feelings you notice most often. What are the feelings? What are the 5 to 10? And I know that's a very vague range, but what are the 5 to 10 feelings that you notice most often about you? Right? The feelings that are most dominant in your life, that require the most attention in your life, that show up the most. Next to each one, I want you to write what it usually tries to tell you. So when you have this feeling, this emotion, right? And it's one of these 5 to 10 of the you're going to rank them, I guess. I don't know. They're the 5 to 10 most, the loudest feelings, or the ones that you notice the most often. And they're all trying to tell you something. And that's important. I don't want you to try to figure out what I want you to say, or what I'm referring to, or I want you simply to take that feeling, one of those feelings that you notice the most often, and I literally at face value just say, what is it trying to tell me? Okay. So for an example, sadness. If sadness is an emotion, if sadness is a feeling that you notice, that you recognize most often in you, okay, that sadness might be trying to tell you you feel left out. Right? What's the FOMO? I mean, I know that's a real thing for some people. But that sadness could be trying to tell you you feel left out. How about anger? Anger might be a feeling that you noticed most often, one of the feelings that you notice most often, and that anger could be trying to tell you that your boundary was crossed. Okay, so write down 5 to 10 of the feelings you notice most often, and then next to each one, write what it's usually trying to tell you. Number 2, truth anchors. I have, up until this point, I have given basically 2 options, whether faith is important to you or if it's not important to you. I need to say this though here. Okay, faith is important, period. Not for me, not for you, not for, it's important because it's important. It matters, right? Faith matters because I refuse to believe that we have no purpose here on earth, that we have no purpose in our life, and that we're just here and then we're gone. That's a bit ridiculous to me. We're worth more, we matter more. I refuse to believe that we're less than that. And so faith is important because it's important. Now, how you engage with that, how you accept that, how much you tap into it, and I can go on and on. That's up to each one of us, right? But for this number 2, this second practical tool that I'm calling truth anchors, I want you to seriously consider it. Now, you can do with it what you want, but I want you to seriously consider it because it works. And this is about your healing. This isn't necessarily about what you are comfortable with or what you like and don't like or think is right or wrong. It's about truth and what works. And this works. And so I want you to keep a list of Bible verses or affirmations that you can pull up quickly. When your feelings try to rewrite the truth, you fight back with your anchors. And the funny thing about that, and we say that a lot, that phrase, the funny thing, but I guess maybe what would be better is to say what's ironic is you can leave the Bible out of it. Let's just imagine, because you can't, but let's just say for a second, we're going to remove the Bible, we're going to remove faith, we're going to remove anything that has to do with Jesus or whatever, and you're going to write a list of affirmations. Okay? Just for a moment, forget that I said Bible verses. You're going to write a list of affirmations. So when an emotion comes up that you feel worthless, your affirmation statement, your truth anchor might be, I matter, or I'm worth something. Okay? Well, where does that come from? Right? These affirmations that you can write down may not include the word Bible, the word Jesus, the word Bible verse, whatever it is. They may just be a truth, but where do you think that truth comes from? And so my point is this. There is power in faith, there's power in Scripture, there's power in prayer, and there's power in Christ. And if we are in our brokenness and we have tried to get out, how's that working for you? How's that working for us? All the while, we are resisting faith, resisting Christ, resisting prayer and Scripture. Well, if I can just be blunt, which I can, I think maybe you should consider it. So keep a list of Bible verses or affirmations that you can pull up quickly. And if you need help with those, I can give you some. I can help you with that. I can share some Bible verses with you that would help. and even more specifically, connect with me, email me, go to the website, all the things that I always say on all these episodes. Connect with me and tell me what it is, what the emotions are telling you. What are the feelings that you recognize the most? What are they telling you? And if that's what you're looking for, some Bible verses or some affirmations, I can send you some specifically for those feelings that you're encountering. Okay. And I want you to remember, when your feelings try to rewrite the truth, you fight back with your anchors. All right. Number 3, name and reframe. Okay. And I say this a lot on these episodes. You might be into writing. You might enjoy journaling. You might like to journal. Okay. And so it might be a name and reframe journal, right? Maybe writing isn't your thing. Maybe you like to talk. So get out the recorder on your phone and just record yourself. And so it could be a name and reframe recording. And so whenever a big emotion hits, write down or record yourself and finish these sentences. I feel blank, and fill in the blank. The story I'm telling myself is blank, and fill in the blank. But the truth is blank, and fill in the blank. These things, this name and reframe format, it'll help you not get stuck in that vicious cycle. There's another thing that you can do, which is really helpful, and reflection is very helpful. And so you might write things down. You might have reflection cards. You may record yourself. You may just ponder things, right? And so here's a question that is something that you should reflect on. What emotion do I usually treat as absolute truth? You got to hear that first part. What emotion do you usually treat as absolute truth? And then what truth do I want to hold instead? We do this often. We feel, quote unquote, we feel something and we designate it as truth. So we feel it, well, it must be true. And so we then convince ourselves that it's absolute truth. But what is the truth that we would rather believe about it? What's the truth you would rather hold instead? So answer that question. What emotion do I usually treat as absolute truth? And what truth do I want to hold instead? Here's a good Bible verse for you to meditate on and reflect back on. Okay. 2 Corinthians 10, verse 5. We take captive every thought. Okay. And some, depending on the version, it could say we take every thought captive unto the obedience of Christ. Okay. We could also add every feeling, right, to bring them to Jesus. I would love to unpack this verse. We take every thought captive unto the obedience of Christ. I would love to unpack that verse because there's power in this. And so maybe I will one day. But that's a good verse to dive into. If you want to connect with me about it, yeah, definitely do it. Here's a little prayer that you can say to yourself. Okay? God, thank you for designing me to feel. Here, let me back up for a second. Our feelings are legit. We matter, and so our feelings matter. And God designed you to feel. And so we don't need to shame our feelings or shame ourselves for what we feel. We don't have to abandon feeling altogether. We don't have to avoid feeling. Okay? So just say, God, thank you for designing me to feel. I don't want to deny my feelings, but I also don't want to be ruled by them. Teach me to pause, to listen, to uncover, to make the shift in my mindset. Help me live from truth, even when my emotions are swirling. Thank you for holding me steady. Amen. So as I close out this episode, okay, I want to say before we sign off here, I just want to say I want to connect with you. I say that every episode. Hope I don't sound like a broken record, because I mean it. I really mean it. I want you to win. I really do. And I know I can help you. I know that I can. So I wanted to connect with you. Email me, unfeignedpodcast@gmail.com. Go to the website, unfeigned.org. hit me up on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. All right. I want to connect with you. I want to help you. So y'all, in closing this episode, I want to encourage you about a few things. I want to remind you of a few things. Remember that your feelings are not facts. They're messengers. Okay, they're trying to tell you something. But I also want to encourage you to consider that Christ is the message. He's the anchor. You can listen to your heart, but I really hope you would consider letting him lead. On the next episode, we're going to explore how to pause before you explode or disappear. We're going to get really practical about managing that space between stimulus and response, right? The space between what is about to set us off or cause us to shut down and our response and what we actually do. So y'all, I appreciate y'all so much. Again, I say this every single episode too, but I really do. I mean it. I do. And I can't thank you enough for listening. I cannot thank you enough for following this podcast. And on that note, I do want to say, if you haven't followed the podcast on Spotify, do that, please. Go to Spotify and just click. I don't even know what it is on there. It might be a little plus symbol with the follow, or it might be a follow button, whatever it is. Click and follow this podcast. Not only is that just awesome that you're following with me along on this journey, but it also guarantees that you're gonna know when a new episode is posted or whatever. It helps the podcast grow, and it just helps the reach for getting to as many people as possible. Right. My desire is to create this movement of healing, and y'all are a part of it. And I'm just so grateful, and I appreciate y'all so much. So just a few things. The website UNFeigned.org. It's up and it's ready, and y'all can it's functioning, and you can engage with it. And I daily I go to it and I make some tweaks and updates and things like that. And I have fun with it. I really do. Listen, life will always life. Life doesn't stop lifing. And lifes with each of us differently. And I get it. And sometimes it can be so heavy and just weigh us down so much. And sometimes you got to see the good, the joy, the excitement, the fun, right? And while many of our circumstances don't feel fun or seem fun, and sometimes life, when it lifes, isn't fun, at least who I am, I get excited about things. And this is exciting. It's exciting to be healed. It's excited to have walked through my brokenness to my healing. And what's even more exciting is that I can help other people do it. And so when I get on that website, it's not just a website to me. It's a way for y'all to engage. It's a way to build community. It's a way to further this movement of healing. And so I want everybody to go to it. And I do. I have some fun with it. It's fun to be creative, but there's a purpose for it. And so definitely visit the website, unfeigned.org. Follow the podcast. Email me at unfeignedpodcast@gmail.com. Send me a message on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Don't ever think, please, I don't even know if y'all have, but don't ever think that you don't want to bother me, or you have nothing to say, or it's whatever, or whatever. Like, don't ever think that. Like, let's connect. For real, let's connect. I want to do that. Also, the last Friday of every month, we do our Healing Out Loud episodes, and that's been amazing. And like I said, I don't consider myself as anything special or having all the answers, and I just know what I went through. I know what God has brought me through. I know my experiences. I just saw a reel today, like a little sidebar. I saw a reel today, and it talked about being built from pain. I've been built from pain and suffering, and that's not a like a victim thing, right? That is exciting because I know what I came from. I know where I am, and I know the purpose that my story has. And I want to use that to help people. I want to connect with y'all. I want to engage with y'all. So don't ever feel like you can't reach out. Reach out and connect with me. And these Healing Out Loud episodes have been so extremely awesome for me because I'm using my story and my experiences to hopefully help your circumstance, the questions you have, the advice you're looking for. And it's just been great to get glimpses of y'all's hearts and be able to speak into that. So I hope that you would allow me to continue to do that. The last Friday of every month, we do that. Tune in there. Last thing, when you go on the website, you'll notice that you can book coaching sessions and you can support the podcast and y'all. All of this is still so crazy to me because really what started out as me just sharing my story has turned into something like really awesome. And I know God has done this. God is using this, and so it's still so crazy to me. And it's really crazy to ask people to support the podcast and sign up for coaching sessions but I know what God, the doors that God has opened, and I'm just being obedient to walk through them. And so if this podcast touches you in any way, if it encourages you, it's helped you, if you know people that it would or know someone who it has, or please consider supporting the podcast. Make a one-time donation, become a monthly supporter. That's up to whatever you're willing or whatever you're able to do. But I would pray that you would consider that, and I hope you would. And the other thing is, if you need help, if you're feeling broken in your own life, you feel stuck, let's connect. Let me help you. If your relationship is broken, your marriage is broken, and you're trying to figure it out, you're looking for answers, you don't know how to fix it, you don't know what to do, reach out. Let me help you. You can do that right from the website. And let's connect. So y'all, thank you again. Until next time, see you then.